Now, I will tell you, if you have a business, a furniture store or something that has real high average tickets, your average ticket's $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, right? Those are the guys that get upset. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the transactions because now 3% on a $5,000 sale, I notice.
Right.
But 3% on a $40 or $50 sale, it's a benefit of using a credit card.
Welcome to Biz Help for You, the show that saves you the expensive learning curve by providing advice from industry experts in every facet of the entrepreneurial journey. Too many small businesses collapse. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, 20% fail within their first year, and less than 35% make it to their 10th anniversary. The goal of this podcast is to change that statistic. So if you're interested in learning more to be a successful entrepreneur, tune in today.
Let me tell you a little bit about my guest today. Jeff Maine is the founder of Pay Proudly, a company aiming to transform the payment processing industry from a purely transactional model to one focused on relationships. With over 25 years of experience, Jeff's mission encompasses not only transparency and education for business owners, but also integrating charitable giving in his business model. This initiative supports nonprofits quarterly, reflecting his commitment to ethical practices and community impact. Listen to today's episode to learn more insights on understanding payment processing's complexities and how prioritizing relationships and community support can enhance business success. So, Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me today, Candy. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm looking forward to our conversation. But before I get into questions I have for you on the topic, I would love for you just to start by telling me a little bit about your journey. How did you get into the payment processing industry, and how did it lead you to start your own company?
Well, I will say I went to college not thinking I was going to be in the payment processing industry, but here I am, 26 years later, still in this industry and haven't made a change yet. So, it's one of those industries. I was in college. I was at St. Louis University studying finance. Had a acquaintance that was in the industry, and they were looking for a salesperson to go out and do some sales, and kind of fell into it. Started doing some sales while I was in college for them, knocking on doors of businesses that they already had some interest in acquiring the service. This is back in the late 90s. And I was successful in it. When I finished school, had the opportunity to go work for a big consulting firm or go work for a small credit card processing company. And we were trying to decide what I was going to do. And my dad actually looked at me and said, Jeff, he said, you're always going to be able to go get that big job. You've got the ability, but you've always wanted to own your own business. And he's like, why don't you just start your own business and just do something? Like, what do you want to do? And you have nothing to lose right now. You can come live with us. You can, we can support you. We've supported you this long, and you can start your own business. And that's what I did. It was the summer of '99. I moved back home. I started my first payments business that summer, out of a bedroom in the upstairs, of my mom and dad's house that I grew up in. And here I am, years and years later, I'm in my fourth company. We've built payment processing companies. We've sold them. I've been in partnerships. We've exited partnerships. We've built an ACH Check 21 company that we were able to sell. I've just been blessed in this industry, and now I know it, and we know how to build businesses and know what to do. And about 4 years ago, we were sitting at the table with an opportunity in front of us. We were exiting a partnership, and we had an opportunity to do something. And I was still too young to hang it up, and I needed to do something every day with my time. And my wife and I were sitting there talking, and she just asked me, she said, what's the biggest problem in your industry today? If you're going to stay in this industry, what is the biggest issue? And so we started talking about clarity, right? Of business owners just don't have clarity in their payments. And salespeople sell them a payment processing solution, and then they move on and they don't have a relationship with them. There's no relationships in this industry, and business owners don't understand what they pay and why they pay, and they don't understand that there's other ways to accept payments, and what are the best ways for your business might be different than the best ways for my business. And there's not a one size fits all in this business, but that's what it's made it's what's happened. It's what's transpired. And I said, I'd really like to make a difference in that. And I know I can never grow as big as just going out and selling to the masses. But for my last run in this industry, which I say this is it, let's do something that we're more intentional and really know our business customers and them know us and hold their hands and be more of a consultant in this space. And so we started writing our mission statement that day. And the first part of our mission was bringing clarity to business owners. And the second part of it, the charity side of it that was just we've been blessed and we want to bless the community and we want to bless those that around us. And we wanted to make that into the DNA of the company. We wanted to build a give back. And really, we thought we were doing that because it was our mission, right? That was something that was important to us. And what we found is so many business owners love it. Employees want to work for us because of it. It becomes a huge talking point about what we're doing and why we do it, which is a blessing. I don't, my employees and I butt heads over. I don't want recognition around our giving. It's something that I don't want it. I'm uncomfortable getting it. I love doing it. I love being a part of the community, but I just want to do it and build our business. And I want to build the relationships with our business customers. I realize it's a huge part of what we do, but it's not what makes us who we are. So, but it's been a lot of fun and we've had a lot of fun doing it. And especially around this time of the season when you're given to these organizations that are just making such a difference. And,
Right.
And it's a good feeling.
Well, I know a lot of times business owners feel like payment processing can be very confusing. They don't know all the different rates. It just seems like, why can't it just be a straight, you're going to pay 3%, or whatever that might be. It's all these different rates and they get really confused. So do you want to even touch on first explaining why that is? Like, why do there have to be so many different rates?
Yeah, and it can be simple, but the truth behind the scenes is exactly what you're talking about. It's hundreds of different categories of rates, and that plays into what your business is and how do you accept credit cards and what categories do you fall into, and they call it interchange, right? So it's interchange, and what a lot of people don't know is a lot of people think MasterCard and Visa set these rates. It's really not MasterCard and Visa. It's the card issuing banks that set these different categories, because if you really think about it, they're the ones that are taking the risk in all these transactions that are happening. MasterCard and Visa are brands. They're getting paid for their brand. And so they're getting paid basis points. It's the same basis points on every transaction. It's part of the fees, but the majority of that money is going back to the card issuing bank. So if you pull all your credit cards out of your wallet right now and you start looking at them, you can go to the same exact business and use your Discover card or your American Express card or your corporate Visa card or your reward card or your debit card or your HSA card, or, what are all these cards? And every different card that you use at that business, based on if they key that card or they swipe that card or how they accept it, and based on what type of business they are, they hit different price points for every single one of those credit cards. And so if you're set up in a manner that you're qualifying every single credit card for what it costs your business to take that card, what you said earlier, when you get that statement, it's going to have all these different fees on it. And it's very confusing. And and the average business owner is never going to understand it. But that's the way it is. Now, a lot of businesses today are going more flat rate pricing, right? So we're coming in and doing some flat rate pricing. And now you have where you can do credit card pricing and cash pricing. We can go into that a little bit today. And you have surcharging, which is a completely different program than cash and credit. Surcharging, you're only surcharging credit cards. You're not surcharging a debit card. And a medical or an HSA card, right? You can bring those in as well. And the machines are built today to know the difference, right? So we know when we program that hardware or that internet or that web app or that telephone that's taking credit cards, we can tell the difference in what type of card that is, to where we should surcharge it or we shouldn't surcharge it. But as a consumer today, you're already seeing more and more and more of that. Right? You're seeing being charged the fees. We used to only see it at the DMV when we'd go pay our taxes or our license fees or something. Now you're seeing it at restaurants. You're seeing it everywhere. Gas stations kind of started adopting it first, credit price, cash price inside was different. Now you're starting to see it retail, business, restaurants. I think we see it more and more every week we do anything. It's become a big thing. And business owners, it's a way business owners can offset some of those fees that they're paying for payments.
Right. I mean, because that can make an impact. I mean, a lot of times people might think, well, it's all 3%. It doesn't sound like a lot. But then when you look at how much that really is that you're paying, it can be a significant portion really of what, you're doing. And then, like I said, it's not just like those fees. Often there's other things like on top of it too that you have to pay. So it can get expensive.
And it's like anything, as we all know, prices have gone up, inflation's up, and so business owners are constantly looking for ways to reduce their expenses, but yet not raise their price, right? That's the goal. And so this is a way of that a business owner can look at what they're doing in payments, and they can reduce their expenses to get some more profit back in the business without raising their prices.
Perfect. Well, and I did talk in the introduction that your company has, a focus on helping nonprofit organizations as well. So I'd love for you just to touch on that. Like, how is that possible where you can help those companies through, just the payment processing that you're collecting?
Yeah. So, we work with a lot of nonprofits. Obviously, we give to a lot of nonprofits. And so we end up doing the payments for a lot of nonprofits. And we work with them, obviously giving them the best programs that we can give them. And most nonprofits are in a situation that they can charge a credit card price and a cash price for donations, or they have a thrift shop, or they have we have animal, charitable organizations. We have a lot of different types of organizations, and most of those today are doing a credit card and a cash price to where they don't pay credit card fees. And and consumers, for the most part, aren't going to argue about that. It's just getting them set up the right way to be able to do it. But obviously with us and our give back, we initially started, when we started the business, we would let each business pick a charity that we would support with their business. We found that to be very, very difficult to manage. Once we had hundreds of accounts, it was becoming a big deal. So now we pick causes, right? So we bucket customers together, and we say, everybody has a cause, right? Everybody has something that's important to them, whether it's heart, or whether it's cancer, or if it's animals, or if whatever, the local town food pantry, or, what is it? Right? Kids, we get a lot of, so we bucket people into our businesses. And so what we do is every month, as we're making our donations and our giving, we give credit to, if we're going to give to the animal shelter this month, we're going to give credit to all of our businesses through our marketing efforts and social media and different things that we do. Hey, thanks to these businesses, because them processing payments with us and you guys all doing business with them, we're able to write this check. And help support this animal shelter. And, we do a lot in the medical world with like dentist shops. And so we'll support these, dental organizations that are, we've got one that we're supporting now that smiles for people who are drug addicts, that are helping rebuild teeth and do things. And so we're supporting organizations like that are important to our businesses that we process payments for.
Nice. Well, when you were talking about the nonprofits and like the cash price and the credit card price, I know for some that I've donated to, when you go to donate online and it will ask you, like, if you're paying by credit card, do you want to cover the fees? Yeah. So like they're still being charged the fees, I guess, but if you want to cover it, so if you're making $100 donation, maybe it becomes $105 or something like that, right. And I've done that before too, because it's just easier. Like if you're not seeing that, or you don't want to drop a check in the mail, it is easier to just do it online. But that's what I've done too, is just say, go ahead and just cover the fees, right? Because the whole purpose of my donation is because I want to help the nonprofit organization, right? So me paying that extra little bit isn't going to hurt me as much as it would hurt them, having to pay that for, all the different people. So
absolutely. A lot of business owners are hesitant around the fee thing, because in our minds, we think we get upset about these fees, but we're becoming accustomed to it, right? And I use the gas station example with people all the time, because they're like, oh, I'd be so upset if I had to pay that fee. And I say to them, well, Last time you went to the gas station, did you pay for your gas at the pump with a credit card? Yeah. Well, you paid a fee. You just don't know it. You could go inside and pay with cash and you'd pay less money. So you're paying a fee already. But you've become accustomed to it. You've become used to it. And that's what's going to happen in the future. When businesses switch to this, they don't get the complaints that everybody thinks they get. Now, I will tell you, if you have a business, a furniture store or something that has real high average tickets, your average ticket's $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, right? Those are the guys that get upset. Okay. Those are the transactions, because now 3% on a $5,000 sale, I notice.
Right.
But 3% on a $40 or $50 sale, it's a benefit of using a credit card. Right? It's not a big deal. So you move on. So there are businesses that are in different situations, and that's our job, is to talk to the business owners and say, hey, we think this is a good fit for you, or this isn't a good fit for you.
Right. Well, and I know too what businesses could do in that case, where if they don't want to have a customer upset because there's an extra fee, they could just put it into their pricing, right? Just raise the price that 3% or 4%, and then not even mention a fee, and then the person can pay cash or credit.
Yeah.
Exactly. I have seen recently, though, too, you never used to see it. It used to just be, they were absorbing the cost if they had credit card, or maybe they posted if you paid by cash, they offered a slight discount, so you would pay X dollars, or you could pay a little bit less. But now I am seeing, when you go to places, they just have the notice that says, if you pay by credit card now, it's a 3.75%, additional fee or something like that. And then, of course, you could pay cash if you want. So they still kind of have the price. And then you select, like, if I'm going to pay credit card, I'm acknowledging, that I'm going to pay that fee. So
from a compliance standpoint, some of that stuff is changing right now. We really are supposed to be telling the customer, here's your cash price and here's your credit card price, right? So on a lot of these new machines and things, that when you walk into stores, anything we deploy today, when you're ringing out, we present to you a cash price and a credit card price. And then you select, credit card, and then it's going to ask for the credit card. You're going to tap to pay or use your phone or whatever you do, and it's going to run that sale. So.
Right. So someone might be listening and saying, well, it sounds like a great idea, but it's such a hassle to have to change payment processors. Like, what would you say to that person?
I would say that there are absolute horror stories about making changes, and I get it, and I understand the fear of it. But I would also say, if you're working with a company that's asking the right questions, you're not going to have an issue. We transition businesses all the time, and we just don't have issues because we have the new account ready to go before we make the transition. And it's you shut down, you open right back up, and you're ready to go. And it can be done right. But with that, any business that has a hesitation, even in mind, and we'll touch on this a few times. We have a free AI tool that will read a statement. It'll read all those fees we were talking about earlier. It'll compare them, and it'll give you back a proposal that costs you nothing. And you're not doing anything with it. You can take it back to your current processor and just have them match it if that's what you want to do. But I highly encourage, we call it a yearly audit. We encourage our own businesses, let us run your statements through our audit tool, and let's talk about it, because we know if we're not doing it, somebody else is going to. And so I really encourage business owners to take some time and to learn, what is my effective rate? What am I paying to accept credit cards? And, you should know that number from, all the fees. And, so when you're pricing things and, it's, I'm on an annual basis, I spend 2.8% on credit card fees. You should know that. And a lot of business owners think they know that, but don't know that, because of an industry that hasn't been the most forthcoming and doing the right thing all the time. So
I would love to just ask a question from the bookkeeping perspective, because, as a bookkeeper, we see merchant statements and fees and stuff all the time. And some companies, take a payment out once a month, right? Like the first couple days of the month for the following month, and some take it out daily. How does your company operate in terms of taking those fees?
So we can do both. We can take it daily. We can take it monthly. The majority of our customers we take once a month. If you're in a cash credit model, we take those fees daily normally because we add that fee to the sale so that your deposit matches what you sold the merchandise for, so that you don't have to account for that difference in the money. And so we take those monthly or daily. I'm sorry. In a surcharge environment, we take that monthly because you have some cards that you're not getting. So we don't want to create an accounting nightmare for you. Right. And so it's all based on the customer and what they're doing and how they want to do it. But we do, from an accounting standpoint, we have full QuickBooks integrations. We have, a lot of tools out there that people don't think are available, but are. So
nice. Yeah, that could be helpful too, because I think a lot of people get confused on all of that too, in terms of how the fees come out and how to account for that properly and all of that too. So if they don't have a bookkeeper who's helping with, all of that, they might be not doing something correctly. So even having an integration where it would actually track, you sold this much, here's the fees, here's your net, that would be helpful too. So that's nice to hear that you have that.
We do a lot of home service businesses that use QuickBooks, and we've got a QuickBooks tool that they still create the invoice in QuickBooks, but instead of hitting save and send, they just hit save. And through the API that QuickBooks has, we're checking your QuickBooks every second for an invoice. We're out there checking it. As soon as we see an invoice, we grab it and then we send it to the customer. And we can send that invoice with a cash price and a credit price, which would be ACH or credit card. So we can take that invoice amount. If it was $100 invoice, we're going to send it out with 103 for credit or 100 for ACH. And then they can select how they want to pay. They pay that invoice and we push that back into QuickBooks to post that invoice as paid.
Perfect. So then if someone is listening and they're saying, well, I'm not sure if this is right for me, I don't know if I'm going to outgrow it, or maybe I'm not big enough for it yet. What are the kind of numbers maybe that they need to be looking at? Do they need to have a certain level of revenue, or is a certain level too high?
So we have businesses that process over $10 million a month on our platform. And then we have businesses that process as little as a few $1,000s a month. There is entry level, your Squares of the world and different things are great for that entry level. I tell people it's a good opportunity to really, if you're processing less than $5,000 to $10,000 a month, the Squares of the world are probably your best option because they don't have the monthly fees and they don't have, they're just, it's simple. Once you start processing some volume and pushing numbers, we can start showing substantial savings and we can start showing some substantial differences in technology that we can do for you as well, from, website payments and phones and machines and point of sales or whatever it is that you're looking for. And so I think that's the kind of that smaller end breaking point that you should be having conversations with companies like ours.
Right. So I know some people are afraid that there are some issues too. There could be credit card fraud, or just other things that could come up. So are there any, kind of tips that you want to share with those who are listening who maybe are concerned about this type of option and the risk and what they should be doing?
Yeah. So we obviously have big risk departments behind us that watch every transaction, and they catch a lot of this stuff. But I tell business owners all the time, if it feels like it's too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true, right? So if a company from if somebody from a different country calls you and they want to buy $10,000 worth of your merchandise and they don't care what you pay, what your invoice is, and they just, it's probably too good to be true. And we get those calls all the time, and our processor catches a lot of that stuff. But at the end of the day, if businesses are doing the right thing, the fraud, we really don't have big issues with fraud. And so, it's your online businesses, there's certain businesses that have higher fraud levels than other, like restaurants hardly have any fraud, but online businesses have fraud, right? So risk departments are watching those transactions heavier. And I tell people, don't, ship to the billing address, ship to the, don't do things that are going to get you in trouble. If you take a stolen credit card and you ship a big amount of product to the wrong address and you trust these people and it's fraud, you're going to lose. you're going to lose. But if you dot your I's and cross your T's and you ship to the billing address and you take the right steps and you do address verification and you do all of that, you're not going to lose. So it's really just running your business and making good decisions.
Right. So back from the bookkeeping perspective, that I'm thinking of, right, as people who, we work with someone, I would love to know, like, some clients have just auto recurring invoices for their clients. So they don't necessarily have to be sent to the client for them to click and pay. They just have it auto charged. Does your service do that too, where they could use your service instead of whatever they're using currently to have them auto charge and not send directly to the customer?
We do a ton of recurring billing. It's a big product offering. We do a lot of, like I said earlier, we do a lot of medical, dental offices, and and a lot of those. So they'll do self financing through big cases, and we can set it up in a way that says, all right, I'm owed $2,000. I'm going to bill this card 5 times for X amount of dollars per time, and we can do that. We can set a start date, a stop date, bill it $500 a time, 4 times on the first of the month for the next 4 months. We can do that. Super easy. We can also say bill it, $300 a year, once a year for an annual membership. Bill, or a gym, bill it $150 a month, every month on the first, start, go. And all that information is in our gateway, and they can log in, they can see those transactions, they can see what's going on. They can change credit card number, they can change things for that customer, they can start it, stop it. But we do a lot of recurring billing.
Okay, great. Because I'm sure there's a lot of people who are listening to that too, who are thinking, when you said like, oh, I have to, have it sent to the customer, and then I don't want them to have it, I was wondering how that would work. So,
well, and we set up a lot of these offices when they do recurring billing. We can set up reminders for the customer that goes, hey, a few days before we're going to bill, send an email to this email and say, hey, we're going to bill. When we bill, we send an email. Which we can also do in the office. They can get an email when it batches. They can get an email with every transaction they can get. So we can set all these different triggers up for the customer based on how they do their bookkeeping. You being the accountant, we might send you a batch email every day. Not even being the business owner, but because you're doing their books, we could just send you an email. So we can set up, all right, every day at the end of the day when the batch hits, send Candy an email with the batch totals. Boom. It just automatically sends you an email every day.
Nice. Okay, well, this has been fascinating having this conversation too. I know we are getting close to the end of the time that we have together, so I wanted to ask first, do you have an offer that you would like to extend to our listeners? And then also, if people are listening and they're interested and they want more information, how can they contact you?
Yeah, so obviously one of our biggest offers that we do every day is we do the free proposal. We've got the AI tool. You send us over your stuff. We'll put it in our proposal tool. We're going to talk to you through your business. We're going to ask you questions about your business, and we're going to just give you a consultative approach of what you're doing and what we think, and do we think there could be better ways of what you're doing, and are you paying a fair amount of fees or rates? And we're just going to bring you knowledge. And for every proposal that we do, we make a donation of $25 to a charity of your choice, right? So you give us what is your cause? What's your why? And if it's animals, if it's people, and we'll tell you what charity, but we make donations based on those statement proposals that we have come in.
Okay. So if they want to do that, how do they reach out to you?
Yeah. So obviously go out and take a look at our website, payproudly.com. All of our contact information's on there. We have a tool out there that you can contact us, upload your statement, and we'll get to work and we'll have that conversation with you. Feel free to give us a call. We answer the phone. We have people that are answering the phones and not, somebody in a different country. We also, you can look me up on LinkedIn. I'm out there, Jeff Maine, M-A-I-N-E. And feel free to shoot me an email, jmaine@payproudly.com. I'd love to have conversations with any of your listeners and offer any advice that I can offer.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Jeff, for being a guest on my show and talking on this topic. I found it interesting, and I'm sure listeners found it interesting to hear that there's actually a payment processor that you could use that also gives back to charities. So I appreciate your time.
I appreciate your time, and I appreciate all your listeners listening to us today. And if there's anything I can help with, I'd love to answer any question that I can.
Wonderful. And to the listener, if you enjoyed today's topic and you want to hear additional information, you can find access to exclusive content in the show notes. Thank you for tuning in today. Would you please share this episode with those you know and leave a review on your favorite platform? And if you find our show informative, would you consider being a financial sponsor to help me continue my mission to educate business owners? A link is located in the episode description, and no amount is too small. I'd really appreciate your support. If you are interested in connecting with our guest and receiving the offer they had to share, a link to our resource page is in the show notes. Finally, if you have any bookkeeping or payroll needs, reach out to us at 310-534-5577 or contact@abandp.com. My team and I are eager to assist you. Until next time, have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Biz Help for You. Please join your host, Candy Messer, again next time. Have a terrific day.